Hey guys, it's almost New Year's time, so Happy New Year early! And it's really snowing hard outside right now in Vancouver, which is great. So, this is going to be an awesome review of the Su-101 Tier 8 Soviet tank destroyer, the alternative line. Alternative to this vehicle here, the ISU-152, which is the tank destroyer you usually see people go and take and go down the line of. And if you compare them, they're not similar in virtually any way. The SU-101 is fast and a little bit more low profile, and it's a rapid fire, semi-accurate gun, doing about 330, 320 damage. And ISU is completely different. It's most of the time not accurate and does 750 damage and reloads every like 13 seconds. So the vehicles really couldn't be any more different, and they definitely lend to different playing styles. So we'll kind of start off with the survivability before we get on to the gun. I could like to cover the gun last. You got 990 hit points, which I don't know, as far as tank destroyers go, you really don't want to be using your hit points until it's kind of the end of the game. The hull armor, well, sometimes you can bounce stuff off of this, but it kind of depends. It's not something I really truly rely on. Whenever I'm getting shot at, usually stuff pens. The gun mantlet can bounce things. These things are sloped back pretty well as well, but for the most part, I don't really rely on the armor. I kind of assume that everything is going to pen as soon as I'm spotted. But one of the things that I really like about this vehicle is the concealment is extremely high. It's got 40.8, which is great. And when you pile on vents and you pile on a full camo crew and you pile on camouflage, even if you throw on some more stuff in here, you can see that the elements there, the camouflage, improved vents, concealment, they're all adding up to make this thing really, really hard to see. So if you really pay attention to where the rings are on the map and you kind of stay out of spotting range of most things, you're going to be really hard to spot, especially if you know how to bush and double bush and just kind of play smart. So the concealment of the tank is really, really one of the high points. The spotting is not bad at 388. That is taken into account not the binos. So with the binos, you're going to get up to 445, technically, I guess. So the next thing we'll look at is the mobility. And again, this is one of the strong points of the vehicle. It doesn't weigh very much, so you're going to want to watch getting rammed. But it's fast. The specific power, like power to weight ratio, is like almost 20. So it gets up and goes really well. It actually turns quite quickly at almost 40. And the top speed is great at 54. So it can climb hills pretty good. It goes down hills like a charm. And it's really good for relocating. If an entire flank falls, you can just kind of turn and drive away, which is kind of what you do in a tank destroyer. And lastly, we'll take a look at the gun, which is kind of the most important thing on a tank destroyer. And yeah, there are a couple choices, but I don't consider this tier 10 gun really something that I would take personally. I like this gun, and that's why I'm going to cover it. Although I will bring it up in another window here. So we'll put the gun that I like right here. Dink, donk. So the main differences are this thing aims really quick and it's a little bit more accurate. The standard pen still is pretty high, but it just shoots a lot quicker. Alternatively, you can take this gun and the rate of fire is quite a bit slower. You can see that on the gun that I like, the reload time is like 6-ish seconds. On this, at rate of fire 5, you're probably looking more closer to the 10-second kind of range, maybe higher. So you only do 320 damage as opposed to 440, but the DPM nature of this is good. Like I still like the standard pen at 220, that's not bad. And like it's more than enough to deal with tier 7s and 8s. You can deal with most tier 9s, and if you want to shoot heat rounds, the 330 is more than enough to rip through just about anything in the game. 330 is really good, and it's not really too much worse than 340. So you can pick this other gun. I mean, the aim time is worse, and the dispersion's worse, but the the standard pen and the damage are both higher, but it just shoots slower. So it's a different type of gameplay, but it's not a gun that I really want, so I'm just going to be sticking with this gun because I like how it works. It kind of reminds me of a Jagdpanzer IV, the German TD at tier 6. I'm not really a huge tank destroyer player, so you're not going to get lots of great tank destroyer insight probably out of me compared to other things, but what else did I want to cover? There's some other things about the tank that suck. You're going to want to really, really watch what the terrain is when you're trying to park yourself. If you can find a nice flat spot of ground where there's not a lot of hills and stuff, that's the place where this thing really shines. You don't have to move too much. But the gun arc on it isn't very big. It's a little bit better than the previous SU-101, but it's still not great. The elevation and depression angles are crap. So you're going to want to watch out for that as well. I think they're a fair bit worse than even the ISU. And if you compare them, you can see the gun traverse angles are... I have no idea. The speeds are one thing, but the limits. No, I guess it's actually about the same as the ISU. I thought it would actually be worse, but I've never driven the ISU, so that's interesting. Either way, it's a touch more accurate, as you can see. Lastly, we will look at the crew and the module setup. So my crew in this thing isn't super fantastic. They've got a full camo, almost crew. This guy's at 80%. I got 6 cents because that's pretty much needed on every single vehicle. Got a bit of repairs and smooth ride so I can shoot on the move a little bit. I don't really do that too often, but I don't know. The second crew skills, I mean, you could take Deadeye. There's a bunch of other things you could do, but this is just kind of what I took. I took repairs because when you get tracked in this thing, you're kind of screwed, so don't get tracked in the first place, I guess. Vents is one of the big modules I take. I don't really throw anything else on here. I suppose you could take a gun laying drive. You could take a toolkit. I don't know. You could take a medium caliber tank gun rammer or coated optics. There's a bunch of different ways you could set it up. I set mine up because I play from as far away as possible, and if I need to spot for myself, I'd rather have that ability. So I take binos and I take a camo in it. It's pretty standard for a tank destroyer, and it works okay. I mean, I could throw those other two elements on to be more of a DPM kind of thing and be able to aim a little bit quicker, but the aim time for this gun is really fast anyway, so I don't really find it's too much of a problem. I usually run about 25 AP rounds, 8 heat rounds, and 3 HE rounds, and just a standard complement of consumables. You don't get anything for these. The tank comes with 3 different engines, and the last one is obviously the best one, giving you the best torque and horsepower. And you have 2 of these, the second radio being significantly better than the first one. And you've got these 2 on the first gun. This second gun being pretty much the same gun that you get on an IS, which is 175 300 pen. And then you get the gun that you have on the SU-101, which is this. I didn't like this gun too much. This was actually 183 for pen on the other one, but I didn't particularly love the SU-101, but I still did pretty well in it. I like this one a lot better because it has that standard pen that's about 220, and that seems to work pretty well for me. So we'll jump into a couple games, and you can see how the SU-101 is when you're out and pounding the enemy in the face. Okay, so this first one that we're going to show is on Tundra, and I'm back on the J line, just seeing they've taken the hill pretty easily. So I'm going to try and provide what support I can. You can see the gun aims in quite quickly, and happen to miss that shot, and it gets me spotted. But what I did find was if I pulled back a little bit further, then I didn't get spotted, so I just wait to get unlit. And I start pulling back a little bit further, and then I can see that the Conqueror, he can't see me, he doesn't...
We didn't penetrate their armor.
Actually, he did spot me. And to my right, we have the German Tier 7. So I've got a not too bad of a setup here.
That went down.
I'm just taking stuff to try and back the Conqueror off at this point. But he's got a pretty tough turret. I'm gonna have trouble penning him unless he gives me his side. But luckily he wasn't the most ultra bright. So I started shooting HE at him just to be annoying. You can see even .33 accuracy, the tank destroyer can still miss. Let's hit him for another 180. So taking HE rounds actually can be pretty good. It can be pretty annoying with this 100mm. And now I start changing my angle so I can see over this rock a little bit better. And again, accuracy. It's World of Tanks. The RNG is unfortunately extremely poor. That shot wasn't as great aim as it could have been, but it still hit a rock anyway. But now that Conqueror is just going broadside, I don't have much of a shot here, but just even being a touch off means I'm not going to pen. So I'm going to hold my shot for a bit and wait for him to come forward. Or I can see if I can get a shot at this T-34. But he's moving his turret, and if I can get a shot at the Conqueror, I'd rather shoot him instead. But again, the shot misses and goes into a rock. So it's kind of a crapshoot. I mean, I don't really trust accuracy in World of Tanks. And honestly, that shot kind of looked like it went through the turret, but another shot into the T-34. Nice roll of 357, which is a lot higher than normal. And I don't have enough of a shot there, and I'm not going to shoot at his upper plate because there's no way it's going to go in.
That one didn't go through.
Now, it looks like the other flank was doing quite well at this point. But then things got a little bit more even. And again, shots missing, missing, missing. And
Penetration.
hit that Conqueror. Unfortunately wasn't able to track him, and then he manages to kill our T-54, which really wasn't great. And now things are actually even again. And right now I'm considering actually moving so I can get better shots at these guys. So to my right you can see the German guy. He's been shot at least once or twice. And you're going to see, like, this is one of the places where the tank suffers. If this was a Dicker Max, it would be easy to do this, but you're going to struggle to get the tank to sit where you want it to sit. So that conch ends up dying, and if I would have stayed where I was, I probably could have shot the Scorpion, but it didn't turn out to be too bad. And it's a hair too late on the AMX again. And it's for every tank that lives, it seems like another tank beside me dies. So I decide that I'm just going to drive up as the CDC bails off the back of the hill. And this is where the SU-101 is really good for being able to relocate. I really like its ability to do this, and climbing the hill and I'm still doing 30. So my main goal here is just to get out on the top, throw the binos up, and see what I can spot and what I can shoot. And we got a full health T-30, which is never a bad thing when you're at the end of the game. Wow, that was really weird. My screen just went black. I don't know if that'll show up in the replay or not. It probably should. That was really kind of odd. So right now, I could have sat up on the top of the hill, but I didn't want our Tiger II driving into the other side of the map over there by himself. So I decided that I was going to go down and try and make some use of myself and see if I could spot that T-34 or the CDC or the Waffenträger. I was a little bit perturbed right now that the T-30 was still on the hill, but there wasn't much I could really do about it. So the Tiger looks like he hits the Steyr there. far am I going to be able to get there? He's going to drop down behind the ridge. But one of the things I'm banking on is the fact that he's not very heavy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like drive over here. Don't want to be where that T-34 is, and I'm just going to shoot him and then ram him, and that manages to kill him. And then because the tank traverses well, I'm going to turn quickly to the left, and it's going to be the... Yeah, that was a bit shot late. That was a late shot coming in. It was never going to hit. It was probably never going to pen either. Either way, it was not a very good shot for me. So right now I'm completely hull down. But again, I'm not really too anxious to test my armor versus the CDC's gun and the T-34's gun. They all have 220-ish pen, I think, so I'm going to relocate over to here, see what I can spot, because we still have artillery. And that CDC is still there. He gets spotted by, looks like the Tiger that was behind me. So I'm just going to post up here. I'm going to be fully aimed. And honestly, I probably should have led that a little bit better. But I was kind of pissed that I actually missed that shot. That was not the best play by me. Do manage to bounce 2 shots there, though, which was pretty sweet. But yeah, he was going to shoot me in the side, and that was going to do damage no matter what. So the CDC is poking, and I'm not able to shoot him again. But I was kind of happy that I was able to bounce a couple rounds. And the CDC is pretty quick, so I thought maybe the Tiger would be able to block him or get him while he was crossing there, but he didn't actually... Well, he actually did. He just managed to shoot him. So I'm going to try and just get up to the top of the ridge and then shoot the CDC before he can kill our clicker. And he's done. So it was a 2476 damage game. I've only played probably about 20 games in the thing, so I'm still getting used to it, but we'll jump into the next one and see how that goes. Alright, this one was on a highway, and it was pretty good matchmaking, I gotta admit. And I ended up spotting the AMX, and instead of getting shot by whoever's camping in their base, I just decided to hop off the back of the hill here. But didn't have the grip to climb back up, so I need to go a little bit more to the left. Chaffee managed to kill the ELC, but it looks like he's tracked over there. I'm surprised he's still alive. And near the end of the game, I would kind of regret taking these speculative shots. Again, I'm having trouble getting the gun completely down where I need it to be. And I gotta turn the hull, and that... There's just idiosyncrasies about the tank that mean I've got to turn the hull all the time because the gun arc isn't very big. And as time goes on, I'm going to end up... I don't know what the replay was doing there. Good shot into the T-29. 220 pens more than enough to deal with the hull on the T-29. And the main thing I wanted to achieve here was tank their enemy team pushing through. If they were going to drive broadside in front of me, then they were going to pay to do it. So things were pretty accurate in this one. And you can see him reloading about every 6 seconds. Managed to track that Skoda. Wasn't sure if he was going to keep backing up, so I'm just going to keep pumping shots into him. Cut him down pretty low, and I end up getting spotted, but I'm going to take the chance here. I thought he was going to keep backing up, so I kind of pre-aimed him, but... And again, we got the T-29 driving out in the open, and I think I've gone dark by now, because no one seemed to want to shoot at me. Managed to shoot the T-29 one more time before he gets in there against our team. And the DPM is pretty much what's allowing me to do this amount of damage in this amount of time, because by the time I'm reloaded, there's something else always popping out of here.
Penetration.
And since these guys don't really have good view range, I'm able to sit here and just shoot people. And I'm always scanning back to see if I can help against that heavy tank instead of just sitting here and concentrating on the Black Prince, but if I have something to shoot at, I'm going to keep shooting the Black Prince. And then he goes dark. I take one more shot at him, and then I'm going to drive a little bit to the left here to see if I can get a shot at this Oni. And got a good shot in there. And now we've got a Tiger P, but again, the gun depression not quite there, so I got to drive forward. I take a speculative shot, but I don't think it penned. And don't quite reload in time. So the Black Prince is backing up. He's trying to get out of there, but his Tiger P friend really wasn't doing him too many favors. So I decided to shoot him. And one more time. Another nice thing about this vehicle is the shot velocity is really quick. You can see there that the gun is all the way to the left. There isn't much of an arc there, but it's not ultra terrible. So I'm waiting to aim in, and didn't quite lead that one properly. But he stops, which is kind of bad for him. But unfortunately for me, that shot went high. And then he goes invisible. Take another speculative shot, which is probably not a great idea. And now finally managed to do a little bit of damage to him and hit him. And I'm still not getting spotted, even though I'm firing right at the edge of my spotting range. Rolling a little bit low, but the DPM's letting me just pound out damage on the Schwarzpanzer here. And one more time, and he's out. And the only stuff over here is a Scorpion G and the T-26E4. And I'm just going to move to the right a bit to try and relocate to get some better shots. And then the Super Pershing. He shows up, and that was my monitor turning off, I think. And then I got hit by the Scorpion G, which is like sitting right there to my right. And I didn't quite fully aim that shot, and I probably should have. And I thought I was going to die here, but instead he decided to shoot the VK instead of me, which was probably a mistake. So I shoot him, take him out. And I wasn't sure if the Super Pershing was going to push this way. But he's shooting at me now. I think he was shooting AG. That was kind of a weird looking explosion. So I'm driving broadside to him. I'm still spotted. He misses twice. And I can't spot him. I'm evidently not out spotting the Super Pershing, so driving back up around the side of the ridge here, and nothing much ends up happening. The rest of this game, the Emil drives over the Badger guy and ends up wiping out the Super Pershing. So it was a pretty successful game. Was able to get a lot of shots in and support that flank as the enemy was pushing in broadside on me. And the gun performed a lot better than in the previous game. So it was pretty successful. Ended up doing 5,000 damage. Like 5,112 damage in this tank is a pretty good result. I almost ran out of ammo. I burned through all of my APCR, or my heat rounds, and I would have had to go into my HE, which would have been a little bit interesting against the Super Pershing. It wouldn't have worked too well. But yeah, overall, I really like this as a tank destroyer. It's the kind of tank destroyer I like. I like the DPM ones that just let me shoot every like 5 to 6 seconds. And like if you get these kinds of games where you get broadside shots on guys, like even if those were tier 8s or tier 9s, 220 pen is usually enough to dig through them pretty good. So SU-101, I think it's a pretty viable tank to play. Like if you want it to be more like an ISU, you can take that bigger batter gun and have higher pen all the time with a slower reload and do 440 damage, which is it's an option. But for me, this is the gun I would take, and I like the vehicle quite a bit. So it's a line that I don't think is too bad. I didn't like the Tier 7 SU 101 M1 as much, but the SU 101 is a pretty good improvement over it, mostly because of the gun. The previous Tank Destroyer only had 183 pen, and it kind of held it back a bit with fighting Tier 9s, which was really annoying. But 220 I find is more than enough, and if I need to have higher, I can load my APCR rounds, or my heat rounds, I mean, and have 330 pen. So just in general, I think this is a viable tank line to go down. I have a lot of fun relocating and using the mobility of the tank to get around. And the accuracy is mostly pretty good. The shot velocity is good. Its only detractors are really that the gun depression and sweep angles aren't very great. But overall, pretty cool tank. I recommend this line. I'm enjoying it. And I'm really just wanting to get the Tier 9. I don't know if I even care about the Tier 10. I just like the look of the Tier 9. I think it looks really cool. So I'll be looking forward to that. But I've got a pretty long road to hoe on that one. I'm pretty far away from it still. But I've got all the good modules and the gun that I like to use on this already. So I'll just be grinding all along through this like crazy. And thank everyone for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you liked the video. And I will see you guys again next time. Ciao.